So let's discuss the basic protocol of the hidden evil against targeted individuals, their tactics. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on January 13, 2025. So here we go. This is the basic protocol part 2. There's a basic protocol that they begin with, which is consistent with all NATO nations. It begins with the surveillance of targets, monitoring of their private lives, and entry into their homes, break-ins. So don't let any copper tell you that, oh, you need a security camera. We can't help you unless you have the evidence, unless you do the work. No, it's only your responsibility to report the crimes. It's their responsibility to investigate them. That's what their jobs are about. So they break into your home. This is done so the personality traits can be cataloged. Oh, well, I've already had personality tests done. You can go contact my ex-husband's lawyer. I'm sure he still has them. I haven't changed much. There's a basic protocol that the perpetrators begin with, states McKinney, but the TI, targeted individual, contributes to the modification. After they're singled out for, preliminary stages of harassment, gang stalking ensues, which McKinney describes as part of a softening up process. Softening up process. After a period of overt surveillance, gang stalking, NLW were introduced. The NLW harassment gradually increases to extreme conditions. This pattern has unfolded consistently in all NATO countries. Dr. Munzert, M-U-N-Z-E-R-T, speaks of basically the same pattern, which he describes as a double-folded strategy. Isn't it amazing that all these people, all this money against one little old you and one little old me? I don't know. It doesn't seem like a level playing field, does it? It is usually the same procedure, he announced, but with individual variations. One part includes the victim being attacked with microwave weapons, and the other part of the strategy, he says, is to portray the targeted people as mad, insane. I'm not the one that's dumping poopy diapers in front of somebody's mailbox or throwing raw meat on somebody's property. I mean, that is insanity to me. He explained the effectiveness of this approach as, quote-unquote, unbeatable, and reveals that this is essentially what the Stasi did to their targets. Part of this protocol appears to include elements of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, which is a type of mind control used by behaviorists to effect change. NLP will be covered in more detail shortly. Some of the tactics below have been called street theater, harassment skits, or stage events. They are planned as harassment skits, such as blocking or swarming. They also include informants, the rat snitches, who surround targets and have conversations intended to be overheard, which contain information about the target's personal life. Presumably, citizen informants are told that this is necessary to let the targeted people know that they're being watched. This may happen in any public place. This is not a complete list of tactics, but it includes some of the more common ones reported. Some of these tactics will sound insane because they're deliberately designed to make someone appear as if they're suffering from a mental disorder. They were definitely created by experts in the behavioral sciences. Well, let's give a shout out to those psychopaths, the takedown of society by behavioral scientists. In addition, people may be emotionally drained and unable to properly identify or explain what's happening to them. Why? Because it's crazy. It's off the charts. Normal people don't experience these events. According to the DOJ, the Department of Justice that doles out money to the citizens on patrol morons, according to the DOJ, the mental tactics designed to cause psychological harm must last for months or years before they constitute torture. So we're all, just so you know, months and years. There is no statute of limitations, to the best of my knowledge, on torture. Just saying, no statute of limitations. So that means that for all my last 12 years, 15 years, whatever it is, there is no statute of limitations. So everybody that's involved can be involved in any lawsuit at any time, now or in the future. The hidden evil fits this description. So keep in mind, these are psychological warfare tactics which are intended to drive people crazy. They're intended to drive people crazy by crazy people, inflicting them upon you. And these people are totally nuts. So then, of course, there's the mental health system. Oh, let's give a shout out to the shrinks that are involved in this disgusting behavior and torture of innocent people. You should all have your licenses removed. So the mental health system is apparently being used worldwide to discredit targeted people who complain. According to the book Journey into Madness, the true story of secret CIA mind control and medical abuse by Gordon Thomas, countries around the world, including the U.S., have used doctors to help abuse and discredit people, often for political reasons. And just VTube, I am reading from a document. It's for educational purposes only. It's also a documented fact. It's a fact that there was a collaboration between doctors and the military when experiments were carried out in prisons, hospitals, and universities on unwitting people in North America. Oh yeah, there are videos all over YouTube about the Tavistock Institute and what they did to people there. Oh yeah. And what about our ex-president, his name is escaped, Clinton, who apologized, public apologies on my YouTube channel, public apology to the people that were swept up in the covert radiation experiments. No due process. Yeah. Well, meanwhile, in the past, they used to employ people in these experiments and actually pay them. People would volunteer their services, and they would sign away their rights to the ability to sue. Not anymore. Why pay people when you can do it for free? So now, this is similar to what was done in Russia, where enemies of the dictatorship would be thrown into mental institutions and drugged beyond recovery. Oh, I'm just saying for the record, and you could perform the research on this, Dr. John Nash, the brilliant, genius Princeton professor who he researched, he created, or the hyper game theory. Oh, and you know what? After he created that, he started, whenever he would drive around, he would see people with red ties. And when he complained about seeing all these people with red ties, guess what they did to him? They called him schizophrenic. They stuck him in a mental institution and they electroshocked therapy, gave him ECT, electroshock therapy. Genius man. Oh, no, but you can't complain. You can't tell anybody that you see red ties everywhere. They'll call you crazy, even though you actually do see red ties everywhere. And just because you're so brilliant, create the hyper game theory, Princeton professor, got to take him out. We don't want him telling any more of our secrets because we want to steal them to use for ourselves for free. So let's just lock him away for a while. Yeah, and do your research. He was a targeted person. So in this book, she describes the Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual, DSM, for mental disorders as a brilliant cover-up operation in 18 languages to hide the atrocities of the military and intelligence agencies' actions towards their targets. Dr. Kildee says the manual lists all mind control actions as signs of paranoid schizophrenia. Oh, by the way, you don't develop schizophrenia in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It just doesn't happen, men and women. And there are some doctors out there that consider schizophrenia just to be a defense mechanism. It's really not any kind of mental disorder. It's a defense mechanism. Yeah, that would be Dr. R.D. Laing from my generation. Of course, nobody talks about R.D. Laing, Laing. But I highly recommend, if you're interested to learn really what schizophrenia is, is to look up R.D. Laing, if you can find his book anymore. Because it's really a defense mechanism. It's not a psychiatric illness. And that all the medical schools teach their students that the person is, quote unquote, paranoid, especially if he believes intelligence agencies are behind it all. I mean, you think my moronic neighbors can think all this stuff up and execute it with supreme accuracy to the second timing? You're kidding me. Finally, she proclaims, never is the medical profession told that these torture actions are over the world by intelligence agencies against their targets, because they lie to everyone. They tell a different lie to your sheriff, a different lie to your prosecutor, a different lie to your neighbors, a different lie to the shrink. Lie, lie, lie. That's all they do is lie, concoct stories. They don't even know what the story is anymore. That's why they have to concoct new ones, because they can't remember the first one. So Dr. Munzert said that doctors, they first think of paranoia and schizophrenia, like if somebody complains of the program. And he cautions that because of this, victims could end up in a loony asylum. Annie Earle, E-A-R-L-E, a licensed clinical social worker and board-certified diplomat in her area of expertise, has over 25 years of psychotherapy experience as an independent practitioner. When referring to the DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, of all the concocted illnesses, it's like an encyclopedia of psychiatric disease. Some of it is actually very accurate. Some of it is accurate. Some of it is totally made up. So when referring to the DSM during the interview on the Republic Broadcasting Network, she stated, it's called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. And all the psychotherapists, regardless of specialty, are required to give their patients a diagnosis from this manual. And in order to get the diagnosis, you will have to fulfill certain criteria that is clearly spelled out in the DSM. So that's why they keep adding more and more each year. And Earle noticed a pattern unfolding when some of the people who came to her who did not fit the standard criteria, the patients that started coming into me really did not fit any of the standard classifications, she explained. For example, they might be having what some people call a psychotic or schizophrenic breakdown, in that they might report what seems to be hallucinations, but they did not have any of the other criteria that goes along with schizophrenia. There's many criteria that one is required to have in making the diagnosis of schizophrenia, and these people simply did not meet that criteria. Apparently, Earle became targeted herself while studying this program because she was uncovering the truth. She wasn't going along to get along. Interestingly, in the April-May 1996 issue of the Nexus magazine contained an article entitled, How the NSA Harasses Thousands of Law-Abiding Americans Daily by the Usage of Remote Neural Monitoring, written by the former NSA worker John St. Clair Akwei, A-K-W-E-I. I have to find this. If anybody finds it before I do, please email it to me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. This is the April-May 1996 issue of Nexus magazine, N-E-X-U-S magazine, an article entitled How the NSA Harasses Thousands of Law-Abiding Americans Daily by the Usage of Remote Neural Monitoring, written by the former NSA worker John St. Clair, C-L-A-I-R-A-K-W-E-I. The NSA DOMINT domestic intelligence has the ability to covertly assassinate U.S. citizens or run covert psychological control operations to cause subjects to be diagnosed with ill mental health. Because they're ill themselves. It's just a projection of what they are. The DSM appears to have been created with a loophole which allows government-sponsored harassment programs to exist. This was evidently done so that people will appear ill when explaining this to a mental health professional. Adding to this confusion, the program itself is designed to mimic, you hear that? Listen, it is designed to mimic mental illness when explained to those not in the know. And of course, those in the know will go into your comments section and say, oh, you need to see a psychiatrist. Oh, you're schizophrenic. Oh, you sound crazy. That's how you know who your perps are. You immediately block them from your channel and erase the comments. It's perp alert. Mental health professionals may also participate in this program. Yeah, and you should all have your licenses revoked, wittingly or unwittingly, by labeling targets as mentally ill. It is one of several layers of protection used to keep this program operating in secrecy. It's easy to see how some mental health professionals might jump to conclusions, except for Tina Booth from the Monmouth PESS, the go along to get along loser girl that broke into my house December 10, 2018. No, loser girl, I will never shut up about what you did because you were newly hired and you thought that you were going to get over on me. And when I was out of the emergency room in 6 hours, you called the next day and complained. You were so upset that I got home. Yeah. You go along to get along with the Manalapan, New Jersey Police Department, the former Lieutenant Thomas Mantle, who's now allegedly a captain or something like that. This is what happens when you're a criminal. You get promoted. So anyway, this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. And that was part 2 on the tactics. The next topic will be surveillance. We'll save that for another day. But I hope you enjoyed this topic and that it helps you to understand that what you're experiencing is not mental illness. You're not crazy. You're not schizophrenic. This program is designed to make you appear crazy for reporting what you're experiencing, which is off the charts. Just a quick example before I end this video, and please hit the thumbs up. Just remember the eBay stalker case. I'm just going to keep mentioning it from here until the day I die. Okay, so what happened in the eBay stalker case is 2 retired coppers. Yeah, they went to work at the eBay security department. And there was a couple that had an eBay store. And they were like complaining about some of the eBay protocol and all the some things that were happening with their store. So these 2 coppers decided, along with some other eBay workers, to target this couple all the way from California to Massachusetts. They did very similar things, like sending them an unalived pig in the mail, you know, the unalived animals, constant harassment, defamation. Yeah. Well, we'll just fast forward. Okay, we'll just fast forward to the lawsuit because they were fortunate. They had media coverage, local news, and ironically, when they filed their lawsuit, guess what? An FBI agent testified on their behalf. Stellar testimony. Really, I want this guy. I want him to testify on my behalf. I hope, maybe he just retired and said, like, I'm done with this FBI stuff. So anyway, he testified on their behalf. And the charge was on cyber stalking and something else. And they won. They won the lawsuit. Guess what happened to the coppers? They ended up in prison. That's right. They ended up in prison, not the county jail. Prison. They had to pay restitution. And then even when they come out, they're going to be on house arrest or whatever. And they have to do community service and all that cute stuff. But, you know, this is what happens when it's gagged and sealed. You won't find out about these lawsuits. But what happened was the judge, in laying down her sentence, and, you know, I forget what it's called. It's like the judge's comments at the end of the case, where the judge speaks about the entire case before she hands down her sentence. Some of what she said was basically the details of this case were so bizarre, so fantastical, that she couldn't even imagine them in a movie. Because that's what it's designed to do. Oh, and also, and you know, and I always, they probably force me to forget to mention this to you. Guess what? When these stupid coppers were talking about why they did it, one of them had the audacity to say, no, you can't make this stuff up. I was only doing what I was taught to do by the FBI. I kid you not. This is why you won't find the lawsuit online anymore. Yes, this is from my memory, by the way. Just my memory, because you can't make this stuff up. And there are some things that you read in this lifetime that you will not forget, right? Just the way once you see what's happening, you can't unsee it. Okay? So yeah, so that it was that lawsuit was, even the judge said the details of this case were so bizarre, I wouldn't have even imagined them in a movie. And that's what you and I are dealing with. So, I look forward to your questions and comments down below. Please feel free to share if you're inclined to do so, and hit the thumbs up. Listen to the end, because it helps the algorithms, and other people have mentioned the algorithms have definitely changed. It used to be where if you just clicked on it, if you watched some of it, if you watched a video, an advertisement, you'd be elevated in the algorithms. Now they want you to watch to the end. They want you to watch like a 30-second advertisement and hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. Actually, leaving comments helps the channel grow. And I'm going to sign off for now.